Hi everyone, I hope everyone is well. Welcome back to the channel. It's that time of year again where we're all preparing ourselves for the golf season, which commences around about April time. So I thought I would take you through a step-by-step kind of process when hitting iron play. So there's been a few requests on social media at the moment, just generally highlighting some common flaws or faults we see regularly on the golf course and on the lesson tee where people struggle with iron. The first distinct difference is when we're hitting an iron shot, it's really important to understand our low point control. So generally where the club strikes the ground, and the ball position is going to dictate that. So what's going to happen is we're going to hit the golf ball first, then take a slight divot after the golf ball. I see regularly on the lesson tee is a lot of golfers who struggle with thinning their shots, topping their shots, and generally not getting the ball off the ground. A lot of people get the ball position a little bit too far forward when hitting this shot, and their weight a little bit too far back. So if you think of my shoulder position here, a lot of people will get the right shoulder working a little bit too low compared to the left shoulder. Great for hitting driver, not so good if you're hitting an iron shot. So the ball position pretty much gets off the base of my left heel. Weight gets a little bit too far behind the golf ball. And what tends to happen is when our body weight's behind the golf ball, that's going to have a distinct influence on where the club strikes the ground. So it's going to hit the ground before the golf ball, and you're going to experience a lot of shots that go quite low. They don't actually get airborne. We hit it out of the bottom groove. So it's really important to understand. Stop trying to get the ball position too far forward when we're hitting an iron shot and our weight too far behind the golf ball. Stance might be a little bit wide and our weight might be slightly behind the golf ball. The club head is going to get to the golf ball before the hands do, so we're trying to help it up. Not so good for creating compression that we all want to desire to achieve. When you set up to the golf ball, you're going to build a stance depending on the target you're hitting towards. So it's establishing what shape of shot you want to hit, where you want to start the ball, and also the distance of shot. So when you hit any iron shot, start with your feet together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my left foot forward, my right foot back. If we get the ball position too far forward, the tendency is my upper body is going to hang back behind the golf ball. Really good for a driver, but not so good for an iron shot. Left foot forward, right foot back, ball in the middle of our stance, because that's kind of like a baseline now. Obviously, 7 irons, pretty much ball positions in the middle of stance. That might change depending on what type of shot you're going to hit. And all what you do from there is you're trying to get your shoulders a little bit more level at address. We don't want to drop that right shoulder too much where the left shoulder's higher. Feet shoulder width apart, the ball in the middle of stance. All what you do from here is you're going to get your shoulders nice and level. So if you had a spirit level on your shoulders are going to be nice and level. So we're going to go from our address position. So this is our address position, hands are pretty much in the middle of my stance. And then what we're going to do from there is we're going to get into an impact position. So the handle has to feel like it's ahead of the club head. If we help the golf ball up in the air, my body weight stays back the butt end of the club pointing towards your right pocket on the downswing. I want you to try and get the butt end of the club towards your left pocket almost in this action. So how we're going to do that? As we come through impact, it's almost a feeling that the knuckles on your left hand, so left hand if you're a right-handed golfer, have to point more down towards the ground. So if you think of it, if I get this left wrist really extended where the knuckles point up towards the sky, we create a lot of loft, we create not a lot of shaft lean, and we're going to hit it low, we can thin it, we can hit it along the ground. So what when you do, this is kind of the shaft nice and up and down. Don't get the knuckles pointing too much towards the sky, because that's where we're going to create a poor impact position. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get the knuckles to point down towards the ground. So it's almost the thumb in your left hand is pointing inside the wrist angle. So it's almost pointing inside the wrist angle. That would be in a board position. Wrist position into impact. So how does that look? I feel like my right knee is moving closer to my left knee. I feel like all my body weight is pretty much all stacked underneath my left foot. If I was to stand underneath a sponge, I should feel like the sponge is compressed into the ground. So I'm going to go from my address position. If I help the ball up in the air, right shoulder gets low too quickly, club head overtakes hands, and we get in an impact position where we're going to create a lot of loft, a low trajectory, and the ball's not going to travel very far, depends how you strike it. Go ball in the middle stance, okay, address position, impact position, my weight's moving forward, and the way I'm going to create shaft lean is if I transfer a little bit more of my weight onto my lead side. So from address into impact, hands are ahead, So hands on head, butt end of this golf club's almost a little bit more in line with my left hip. And then you're just going to hit some shots at the moment, just trying to hit little punch shots where the kind of butt end of this club stops towards your left hip. Simple setup procedure, feet nice and close together, left foot forward, right foot back, ball in the middle of the stance. If you're thinning the golf ball, a couple of things: press into impact, hips have opened up, shoulders have started to rotate towards target. Ahead of the club head, that's key to try and create a little bit more of a divot after the golf ball. So hands are favouring my left hip. And all I want you to do from here is you're trying to keep the leading edge of the club down and the grooves pointing down towards the ground a little bit more for a longer duration into the follow through. So knuckles to the ground almost in that position, so lead hand, knuckles to the ground, keep the club face nice and low through the impact position. So guys, let me know how you get on with that. The key thing to think about when you're struggling with iron play, where does this club strike the ground? If it's before impact, all I want you to do is understand, if you visualise the door frame behind me, if I fall back, I'm pushing back behind this door frame. All you're trying to do from here is on the way through, trying to get right knee closer to left knee, and you're trying to feel like everything's moving into your front foot, so weight's transferring forward. So comment below with anything you're struggling with in your game at the moment. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also like and subscribe. Please share this video around if this is of help to you, and have a great weekend.